FIFA is the official happiness provider to humanity. And happiness.
The 2026 World Cup was supposed to be impossible to steal. More cameras than any tournament in history. A sensor inside the ball reading 500 data points per second. Semi-automated offside. Expanded VAR powers. FIFA's promise was simple. Technology would finally remove doubt from football. Instead, something strange happened. The more technology FIFA added, the less anyone trusted what they were watching. This was supposed to be the most accurately officiated World Cup in history. Instead, by the knockout stages, nearly every eliminated nation believed the exact same thing, that the tournament had been taken from them. Croatia lost a stoppage time equalizer to a touch no human being could see. Iran went home over millimeters. Ghana, Egypt, Colombia, all of them pointing at the same screens, and when an American striker got a red card, it wasn't VAR that overturned it. It was a phone call from the President of the United States.
Probably the most unforgettable is when they gave that gentleman, is it a red card? And I was forced to call Johnny.
VAR was born out of a very specific promise. The real question is, what happens when a system built to create certainty starts destroying trust instead? To understand how FIFA broke its own World Cup, you have to go back to why VAR was created in the first place. For decades, World Cups were shaped by mistakes everyone could see. Thierry Henry's handball, Frank Lampard's goal that crossed the line by half a meter and was never given, the hand of God. These weren't judgment calls. They were errors so obvious that the entire world saw them in real time, except the one person who mattered. So when VAR arrived, the bar was set deliberately high. It would only intervene for one thing, a clear and obvious error. Not to re-referee the game, not to hunt for infractions, just to catch the disasters. That was the deal football made with technology, and for a while, it more or less held. But quietly, over the years, the deal changed. Sure, nobody announced it in those words. It happened the way these things always happen. One protocol update at a time. More reviewable situations. Semi-automated offside that could draw lines on a player's shoulder. And for 2026, the biggest expansion of VAR's authority since it was invented, signed off by FIFA and IFAB before a ball was even kicked. Then came the ball itself. The official match ball carried a suspension system with motion sensors inside it, sending data hundreds of times per second. Every touch, every deflection, every fraction of contact recorded and displayed to viewers as a heartbeat graphic on the broadcast. FIFA called it an unprecedented level of data for officials. And on paper, that's incredible. A machine that knows the exact millisecond a ball was touched, paired with cameras that know exactly where every player is standing. In theory, offside stops being an opinion. It becomes a measurement. But here's the problem nobody at FIFA seems to have asked. Just because you can measure something, does that mean you should referee with it? Because the numbers from this tournament tell you everything. Reuters reported that VAR interventions at the 2026 World Cup blew past the totals from the 2018 and 2022 tournaments combined. And they did it fast. Not because the referees suddenly got worse, because the system was now allowed to look for more, in more places, with more sensitivity than ever before. FIFA didn't just improve VAR, it quietly changed what VAR was allowed to be. The warning signs showed up almost immediately. And now the question arises, is football losing its human touch? Or in other words, is the technology making football too perfect? The first cracks appeared before the group stage was even over. Iran had one of the great qualification stories of this tournament. The whole nation was celebrating. They were as happy as a human being can be. Yet only for less than a minute, their defining moment was erased by an offside measured in millimeters. A margin invisible to every camera angle shown on the broadcast, decided by lines drawn by software. Technically correct? Probably. But try explaining to a nation of 90 million people that their World Cup ended over a distance thinner than a boot stud. And then it kept happening. Ghana against England, a penalty shout that half the world thought was Stonewall, and this time the all-seeing system stayed silent. No intervention. Colombia had a stoppage time winner against Portugal pulled back after a review dug deep into the build-up, and that became the pattern. On top of that, FIFA rolled out new and largely untested protocols, a new mistaken identity review, red cards for dissent, players getting punished for covering their mouths while arguing, an entire layer of rules that even the players didn't fully understand yet. And here's where it gets genuinely strange. Because while the system was catching offenses the human eye could never see, it somehow kept missing the ones everyone saw instantly. Messi's tackle against Algeria. The kind of challenge that's been a red card in every league on earth for a decade. Nothing. Michael Olise, same story. Elliot Anderson, again, same story. So follow the logic here. A sensor inside the ball can detect contact from a single hair. But a studs-up challenge in full view of 8 cameras is checked and cleared in 40 seconds. I mean, we have seen President Trump, the most influential person on the planet, call the FIFA boss Gianni Infantino and request suspension of the red card for Forlan Balogun. That's the moment fans stopped asking, was that the right call? And started asking a much more dangerous question. Who is the system actually working for? By the end of the group stage, the mood had shifted. It wasn't yet the tournament is rigged, it was something quieter, and honestly more corrosive. The technology sees everything except when it doesn't. And in the knockout rounds, that question stopped being about single matches. It started deciding legacies. July 2nd, Toronto, round of 32, Croatia against Portugal. Luka Modric's last World Cup. Croatia are 2-1 down. Gonçalo Ramos headed Portugal in front in the 4th minute of added time, and it looked over. But this is Croatia, the nation that doesn't die in stoppage time. It lives there. 90+13. Perisic hangs a ball into the box. It clips off Renato Vega, falls to Pasilic, and his touch sets up Guardiola, who slides it home. 2-2. The Croatian bench empties. Modric's tournament is alive, and in the stadium the goal is given. Then the referee, Espen Eskas, gets sent to the monitor. Here's what VAR found. Before the ball reached Pasilic, it may have grazed Igor Matanovic as he jumped for the header. Not his boot, not his chest. The contact was so small that no television replay could show it. FIFA's own statement admitted the touch wasn't visible. The evidence came from the sensor inside the ball. Some analysis suggested the contact may have come from Matanovic's hair. And if Matanovic touched it, that creates a new phase of play, which makes Pasilic offside, which cancels the goal, which ends Croatia's World Cup. The goal was disallowed, Portugal went through, and Luka Modric's international career ended right there. Not to a better team, not to a worse performance, but to a data point. Now, was the decision wrong? Honestly, probably not. FIFA published the sensor data. By the letter of the law, if that contact happened, the call is correct. But stop and think about what football just did. It ended a legend's career based on physical contact that no human being on earth perceived. Not the players, not the referee, not a single camera. An event that, for every practical purpose, did not happen except inside a chip. And this is where it gets worse, because within days, a creator on Instagram rebuilt the entire sequence in 3D space, tracking the ball frame by frame. His finding? The ball showed no measurable change in speed, spin, or trajectory at the moment of the alleged touch. Now, is one guy's 3D reconstruction more reliable than FIFA's sensor? Probably not. But that's exactly the point. Nobody can check FIFA's answer. The evidence is invisible. The data is proprietary. And the only institution that can verify the call is the institution that made it. And we are supposed to trust that a sensor picked up a follicle of hair. 60 years of football, we argued about what we all saw. Now we're told to trust what none of us can see. And Croatia wasn't alone. England scored against Norway seconds after the ball clipped the spider cam cable hanging over the pitch. By rule, that's a dead ball. Play should have stopped. It didn't. The goal stood. So let's get this straight. FIFA has a sensor that can detect a hair follicle touching the ball, but somehow can't detect the ball hitting a steel cable. The Snicko technology that ended Modric's career was apparently on a break. That's not an argument for a conspiracy, it's something more damning. Proof that the precision was never as absolute as advertised. The system is microscopic when it wants to be and blind when it isn't. And if you need one image to sum up this entire tournament, it's this one. Egypt had a goal against Argentina chalked off and a penalty appeal rejected in the same match, and went home openly accusing the officials of protecting Argentina's run. And whether you believe that or not, look at the picture forming around the tournament's two biggest legacies. Argentina's path, paved with favorable margins. And Ronaldo? He arrived at this World Cup only because FIFA cut his 3-match ban for elbowing an opponent down to 1. A reprieve announced shortly after he was a dinner guest at the White House.
You know, my son is a big fan of Ronaldo, wherever Ronaldo is here. Ronaldo. And Barron got to meet him, and I think he respects his father a little bit more now, just the fact that I introduced you. So I just want to thank you both for being here. Thank you very much.
Are Messi and Ronaldo actually being protected because it's their farewell tournament? There's no proof of that. But when a system claims to be surgically precise, every inconsistency stops looking like a mistake and starts looking like a choice. And just when you thought the officiating crisis couldn't get more surreal, politics walked in. July 1st, USA vs Bosnia, round of 32. Florin Balogun, the face of the host nation's tournament, comes down on Tariq Muharimovic's ankle. VAR refuse it, red card. Harsh? Maybe. Plenty of pundits thought so.
The thing that surprised me about this World Cup was actually the brazenness of the situation around the Balogun red card.
Then, the President of the United States picked up the phone. Donald Trump called FIFA President Gianni Infantino and asked him to review the red card.
And I'm a person that loves sports and was a good athlete. And that wasn't a foul. That wasn't even an infraction. That was two guys running full speed that happened to crash into each other. You can't take your foot and properly place it on somebody else's foot. How do you penalize them for a game that hasn't been played yet? It's very unfair. You can't do that. So, yes, I asked for a review by FIFA. I spoke to a man who's highly respected, and by the way, whose level of respect has gone up tenfold.
Days later, FIFA announced something almost nobody knew was possible. Using Article 27 of its disciplinary code, it suspended the suspension, placing Balogun on a 1-year probation instead. And here's the detail that turned this from controversy into crisis. That same weekend, England's Jarrell Quansah was set off against Mexico for a near-identical incident. His suspension, fully enforced, no phone call, no Article 27, no probation. If VAR made the decision, who overturns it, and on what grounds? Where does this start and where does this end? Think about the message FIFA sent that week.
I should be crying, but I'm laughing. He rang up somebody at FIFA and asked them to change their mind, and lo and behold, an independent committee then changed their mind.
The censor in the ball is absolute. A hair's touch can end Croatia's World Cup, and no appeal on earth can change it. But a red card, reviewed and confirmed by 3 VAR officials, that's negotiable if your president has Infantino's number. The final irony? Balogun played the full match against Belgium, and the USA lost 4-1 anyway. All that institutional damage for nothing. And behind the scenes, FIFA was quietly admitting the system wasn't working. Mid-tournament, Reuters reported, FIFA changed its own VAR operations, placing additional officials inside stadiums after the criticism became impossible to ignore. Read that again. The most planned, most technologically advanced officiating system ever built being reviewed during the World Cup it was built for. Coaches were publicly questioning referee competence, and fans had reached the terminal stage of distrust, treating every single decision, for and against, as evidence of favoritism. So let's answer the question everyone's been dancing around. Was the 2026 World Cup rigged? Here's the honest answer. Probably not. There's no evidence of a grand conspiracy, no smoking gun, no fixed bracket, no order from above. Almost every controversial call in the video was, by the strict letter of the law, defensible. And that's exactly what makes this so damning, because FIFA's real failure wasn't corruption, it was arrogance. They built a system so invasive that it found offenses nobody could see, so complicated that not even coaches understood its boundaries, and so inconsistently applied that a hair's touch was final while a reviewed red card could be undone by a phone call. In a system like that, correct decisions looked corrupt, incorrect decisions look intentional, and nobody, not players, not referees, not FIFA itself, could tell you where VAR's authority actually ended. The old World Cups had injustices, the hand of God, Lampard's ghost goal, But those wounds healed because everyone understood what happened. A human made a mistake, and humans make mistakes. What happened in 2026 is different. There's nothing to forgive and nothing to trust. VAR was created to protect football from clear and obvious errors. In 2026, FIFA gave it so much power that it began re-refereeing the sport itself, and in trying to make football perfect, they made it unbelievable in the worst sense of the word.